Hello there, and everyone. Welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Connect, president of Universal Accounting Center, and this is a show committed to actually helping you as you're working on your business to build what I refer to as the premier accounting firm in your area. It's in this show that we actually bring on the guests, the individuals to actually share with us insights as it relates to building the business, things ranging from marketing, selling, pricing tips, tech stacks, staff training, just a variety of things that we need to consider as we're working to provide quality accounting services to our clients. Each and every week I have on the show a guest, and today's going to be no exception to that. I'm excited to have Kirstin Reeder. She happens to be someone that is a founder and CEO of Purple Sapphire Business Solutions, a boutique firm based in Aurora, Colorado, offering specialized bookkeeping and tax services to clients nationwide. Purple Sapphire specializes in bookkeeping that is tailored for the unique needs of the travel and tourism industry. She likewise has a firm that extends its expertise into a diverse range of small businesses and helping their owners provide comprehensive tax solutions. Now, one of the things that she does in her journey is she's working in accounting is basically begin with the initial vision of providing bookkeeping services so that the businesses that she works with experience basically her expanded offerings by becoming an enrolled agent. Now, one of the things that I want to point out is there's a personal side to her as well. Outside of her professional endeavors, she actually finds fulfillment in life's simple pleasures, whether she's enjoying the beach, spending time with friends, indulging in crochet projects, or relishing moments of her grandbabies. Now, one of the things that I want to do is actually start with a little background or story as to how you even got into accounting. What brought you to the accounting profession?
Oh my goodness. So honestly, back in high school, I took an accounting class and I said, this is fun, which I know I feel like accountants would get that, but most other people, they're
Fun
like,
works.
"Ugh." But yeah, I loved it. And so I started out as an accounting major in college. And it's funny now to hear myself say this, but I said, I don't want to be a CPA because I don't want to do taxes, which ironically
Okay.
is what I mostly do now is an EA. I don't know. But then I as I got further along in college, I realized all this accounting, this upper level accounting stuff is, talking about things that most small businesses don't have to deal with. And I really, really wanted to work
Yeah.
with small businesses. And then life happens. My husband was in graduate school. I dropped out of college to go to work to put him through graduate school, had a baby. I was a stay-at-home mom for 18 years.
Okay.
And then I found a course and I've always wanted to have a business of some sort and found a course that said, hey, you can be a bookkeeper at home. And so I took that course and the rest is history. That was 9 years ago. Uh,
Wow.
and it's been fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I love the journey you're on because I know a lot of people can actually relate
Yeah.
to it. It's just one of those things where later in life you find yourself in this situation where you need some type of a transition. You come back into the career world, if you will, and lo and behold, you're a bookkeeper by profession,
Yeah.
and you became also an EA. So
Yeah.
I am interested. What caused you to want to pursue becoming an EA then?
So, yeah, as I was looking at the thing, I had never even heard of what an EA was until the
Okay.
bookkeeping course that I took. And I did not know that it was in a thing. I knew what CPAs were, but I didn't
Yeah.
know what an EA was. And so I decided to do that because one, I did not have time or anything to go back to school to get my degree to go work for another CPA firm in order to sit for the CPA exam. I didn't have the qualifications or the time to get the qualifications. Um, and so I found out that you can become an EA. And at the time, I thought that you had to be either a CPA or an EA to do taxes. So I said, oh, I want to be able
Uh,
to start offering tax services to my clients. So I guess I have to be an EA. Well, then as I was going through the EA studies, I realized, oh, I don't have to do that.
uh-huh.
So, but now here I am. And what's so funny is I got through the EA, I passed all my exams, and I said, but I still don't know how to do taxes because it doesn't teach the exam itself does not teach you how to actually prepare taxes. So I still had to
Correct.
take a tax prep course on top of that, which is fine. Yeah, that's how I did that. Oh gosh, Tyler just popped up in the chat. That's so funny.
I love it.
Yeah,
Well, we'll,
that's
we'll bring
great.
up Tyler
Yeah,
in a minute. So
we've
let's
already talked about Tyler today.
let's talk a little bit about this distinction between being a tax
Yeah.
preparer and an EA, because obviously tax preparation is its own little thing. You can do individual and business returns, but when you become an EA, it opens up a few more doors. Tax resolutions, you
Yes.
can get a little bit more heavily involved in tax planning. So what did you feel that the EA designation afforded you that was beyond the tax preparation ability?
Yeah. There are days when I honestly, I won't lie, I question, why did I do this? Because now I have to take continuing education and all this stuff, which is fine. That's good. But it's like there have been years when I'm like, I gotta get down to the wire and make sure I, have everything. But it allows me to communicate with the IRS on my client's behalf rather than just
Correct.
saying, here's what you say, but I can't really get involved. So if need be, we can, I can get a power of attorney and go to the IRS on their behalf versus just giving them words to say and saying, good luck. Um, because I mean, we ran into an issue recently where a client, the IRS lost their tax return from years ago, and my client is in the right, and the IRS just will not have it, but they're not able to afford me to be their power of attorney. So
Mhm.
I have been saying, just, here's what you say, blah blah blah. And finally I said, go to your congressman because that's what they're there for. But the congressman sent them to the taxpayer advocate service. So I'm like, okay, this is not working. So I feel like if they could just afford, because I'm not going to do it for free. If
Yeah.
they could just afford for me to be their power of attorney, I might be able to help them a little bit more than just this maze that they end up going through. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing I like about what you're describing here is you can be a very successful tax preparer and
Hmm.
not be an EA, but the EA does afford you a number of other services that you can provide.
Hmm.
Clearly, you want to be paid for them, like you're indicating,
Yeah.
but the point is there's something more that you can do as an EA.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to understand because it does open a number of doors, especially from a services perspective,
Hmm.
just things that you're able to offer that other tax preparers cannot do.
Right. Right.
Now, so for your business, you're doing bookkeeping services,
Hmm.
you do tax services. Are you doing planning, preparation,
Hmm.
both?
Yep. Both. Yeah. We do
Okay.
planning and preparation. We do full on huge tax strategy, like, here we need to change some things and do all that. We also do kind of what I call tax planning light, where if you just, have some questions or, hey, let's look at, these 8 to 10 different strategies that may or may not be able to help you. We can just kind of look at those things versus a major overhaul of your whole tax situation.
Yeah.
Um, I offer that as well because sometimes people don't need this huge thing. They just want some of the typical strategies.
Yeah.
So I offer that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is if it's just typically a W-2 individual, there's not many tax strategies they
Yeah.
necessarily can employ. So they're curious, is there anything I can do to mitigate my tax liability? And
Mhm.
you could give them some strategies, have an HSA, you want to
Yeah.
invest in your 401k, you want to fully fund this.
Right.
And those are strategies from a W-2 perspective that they can clearly implement, but it's more at a light level.
Right.
It's when they become, say, the owner of a business and
Yeah.
it's S-Corp, C-Corp,
That's when you
LLC.
can
It's
actually do something. There's a little bit more
yeah,
control over your tax situation when you own a business or, have real estate investments or
yeah.
things like that. Hmm.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden you're going beyond that light to something a little bit more aggressive with some
Right.
planning, some quarterly meetings, and you're looking at, okay, here are some strategies we can use, leveraging the tax code to our advantage. And then all of a sudden you've got a client that's not just paying you for tax preparation services, but clearly planning services.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And you build that relationship. It's not just oh, hey, coming in once a year for tax preparation, I know what's going on. Like I've got a tax planning client that I already know he's changed vehicles throughout the year. So I know to expect that because we've had this conversation throughout the year already due to meeting regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So I already know, okay, we've got that on the agenda whenever I go to do his taxes.
Exactly. One of the things that I find is, people are using strategies such as when you go to buy a car, talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's some, are you going to buy an EV vehicle or whatever? And all of a sudden what happens is you're involved in more of the daily decisions that are going on by the person because there are things that they are doing or could be doing that could impact their tax liability.
Exactly.
Either go get solar panels or whatever the case may be. So here's a question I have for you regarding the tax planning and preparation. Do you have a cadence that you follow with your tax preparation, or your tax planning clients where you're meeting with them throughout the year, such as do you have 2-3 meetings that are traditionally just kind of scheduled and booked, or is it kind of ad hoc based on the client themselves?
So, yes, I'm wanting to get more stringent on scheduled out meetings.
Okay.
I'm not there yet. So it's been kind of ad hoc so far, but I am wanting to get better about that.
Well, let me give you kind of a best practice that I've seen that's worked effectively and see if you've got an opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, during the tax season, we'll just say January, getting out the W-2s and 1099s, February to April, you've got your business filing in March, you've got your individuals in April. Well, the point is during that time, you're not wanting to do a lot of planning because you don't have the time to meet with them. You're doing all the preparation. So what you do is typically you flag those particular accounts that you want to then meet with, individuals or businesses that missed out on tax opportunities, that you can now meet with them following the first quarter. So now you schedule with them because you've identified who they are in the second quarter, a meeting to point out, here are some of the things that when filing your tax return, I noticed that you did not do the previous year that I think we need to consider this year because they're missed opportunities that you could have leveraged. This is inciting them to see that there is a planning strategy that you can implement rather than just going through the course of the year. So in that second quarter, you're now having this meeting. They're realizing that you have a service that's addressing planning, and you can come up with a strategy. The third quarter typically is then a meeting to see, did you do what we talked about? Because clearly, if you don't do these things, so we can't use them in the next tax season. And then the fourth quarter is to see, not only did you do them before the year end, but more importantly, are there any decisions that you're making right now, or perhaps even in the coming months, that we should accelerate and do before the year end because you could benefit from them this tax season? And then all of a sudden what's happened is in these 3 meetings, you've taken on more of a planning approach with the client. They see that you've got a strategy, you're leveraging the tax code to their benefit. There's things that they're leaving with action items to do. And all these things culminate in the fact that once the year is over, except for those few exceptional things that can happen after year end, you've got everything locked down so that when you file the tax return, there's no surprises. How does that sound?
Good. It's different from how I do it. Because it's so funny. I hear about tax preparers who only prepare taxes in the first 4 months of the year. And I'm like, how? Because we literally prepare taxes all year round.
All year round.
Well,
you've got your extensions and all.
Yeah. My team is still right now working on tax returns from last year because it's just taken this long to get. Heck, we're still working on some 22 returns even. But one thing we're also working on this year is we are trying to schedule our tax returns out. We've had clients choose a month that they want their return prepared in, and then we're going to file extensions appropriately. So that we aren't working 60 to 80 hours a week during tax season, because I don't want my staff to do that. And I can't do that. I can only work 30 to 40 hours a week maximum. And that's I can work 40 hours if I let other things go in my life, which is not good. So that's something that we're trying. And I'm having clients choose if they want that additional advice on the front end. And I flag people though and say, ooh, this was a missed planning opportunity for sure. And I do reach out to them. So yeah, interesting to hear how certain, and I love all that that you talked about. It's just, I don't know, I have a different clientele or something because they all are coming in just like hair on fire, it seems like. Now, the ones that aren't new to me,
Mm-hmm.
those are the ones that, okay, we can actually do some things with. But it seems like everybody else, we don't see their stuff until like September. And by then it's not too late, but ah,
Yeah.
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 So
There's more of a hustle to it.
there is.
Get your free copy of the book In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. This is a how-to guide for accounting professionals to work with their clients and actually implement proven processes and systems to ensure that their clients make profit a priority. It is in this book you'll actually learn how to map the business and, in fact, make marketing, accounting, and production a priority within your client's business. You also learn the wisdom pyramid, how to actually take the information you're providing to your clients and effectively use it so that they can make more informed business decisions. This book is designed to help you communicate more effectively with your clients and, in fact, have them see you as their profit and growth expert. Get your free copy now of the ebook today. So let me ask regarding your business. You do the bookkeeping, you do the taxes, we already indicated. I'm curious, where do you find that you're bringing in your clients more? Is it they come through the bookkeeping services and then you're offering the tax, or is it they come in with tax needs and then you're offering them bookkeeping services? Where do you find that your funnel flows?
They kind of have separate funnels because
Okay.
on the bookkeeping side, we only work with travel and tourism businesses. I will not, I've had tax clients say, "Oh, hey, can you just do my bookkeeping also?" And I tell them no, unless they're a travel and tourism business. And if they already have a bookkeeper that they work with, I won't take them over either because I don't poach from other bookkeepers. Um, so my tax clients come at this point 100% word of mouth. Well, I guess 99.9, because every once in a while I'll have somebody find me on the IRS website and call me. And I'm like, where did you even, where did you come from? But everybody else is word of mouth, all referrals. And then if they happen to have a travel and tourism business, then I will, and they don't have a bookkeeper, then I'll say, "Oh, hey, we've got bookkeeping services also." On the flip side, um, if we have a bookkeeping client come in and they don't have a tax preparer, then we'll say, "Oh, hey, we can kind of, one-stop shop. We can do all of it." For the bookkeeping side of things, we've honestly had things on hold for a while when it comes to marketing
Interesting.
while we are trying to get our processes in place and all of that. We're finally there now. So
Uh-huh.
we are going to actually start marketing for a change, which it's been several years. So I'm kind of like, what do I do? But we're working on attending conferences, podcasts, Instagram, because that's where my potential client is Instagram. So we're going to be working on that, but they aren't, I didn't really design them to work together necessarily for one to flow to the other. It's almost like two
Okay.
separate sides of the business.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier that you work 30 to 40 hours a week. I know my listeners are going to want to know a little bit more about that simply because of the fact so many struggle with that. Clearly, you've got some boundaries. Clearly, you've set some priorities. Tell us about what it is you did to, first of all, realize you needed to manage it. And then how do you go about actually managing it so that you actually do the 30 to 40, no more than that hours?
So it's funny. I wish I could work more because I love my job. I
Yeah.
love doing all the things. If I could, I would be probably doing, working 50 to 60 hours a week. But I have 9 children. 5 of them have flown the coop, so 4 of them are still left at home, and I homeschool them. So in the morning, like literally just before we started recording, I said, dude, I'm going out to my office. Do not come ask me for help because I can't help you. Because I was
Yeah.
homeschooling my fourth grader right before we started recording. So in the morning, I don't start working typically until noon or 1 o'clock, simply because I am working with my kids. Every once in a while, I'll log in if I can manage to wake up early enough. I have an offshore employee, and so his hours are completely opposite of our business hours. So if I need to talk to him, I have to wake up early and log in before we start school in the morning. But that's only if I can manage to wake up early. I also work. Oh, and I'm driving everyone everywhere all the time. I currently only have one driver out of my kids that are still living at home. So the younger 3, I am pretty much their transportation.
Chauffeur. Yeah.
So between homeschooling and not being able to work while I'm driving hither and yon, that kind of self-limits how much I can work. Um, I it's it's probably good that I have these external things forcing me to have boundaries, because typically I don't have great boundaries about things like that. So
Yeah.
I'm probably not a good one to ask, actually.
No, clearly you're doing it right. So kudos to you. So let me ask then, what are some of the struggles you have when you're running your firm? You've got the offshore employee, you've got staff that are doing the taxes and so forth. You're running a business.
Yeah.
So what are some of the struggles that you've had as you're running your company?
I would say what are some of the struggles? Boundaries, scope creep, because I
Yeah.
want to help everyone. I want to do all the things, and I want to, what was it the other day? Someone, just a tax prep one time a year client, asked me a question that really was a tax planning question. It was something like,
Okay.
my husband, I think he's an attorney, I don't even remember. My husband made partner, and we received this advice about how he can structure things to save on taxes. What do you think? And I said, old me would have said, oh, you can do this, that, and the other, and just totally given that information away for free. And I said, you know what? There are some things that probably can be done. Let's set up a planning call, and here's my fee for that. I have not
Yeah.
heard from them, but whatever. It's only been a couple of days, but I was so proud of myself for not letting that scope creep get in there. And I'm really, really trying to get better about that this year. So that's probably my biggest struggle, I think. Being able to kind of let go of, not the control, that's a strong word for it, but I mean, I have 8 employees. So I can't do it all, and I have to let them do it. And I also can't be checking everything that they've done. I have to trust that they have done it correctly and then follow
Yeah.
up, but I can't micromanage. So the internal struggle of being able to let go of wanting to micromanage all of that has been a little bit tricky. Trying to think of some of the other things. Those are probably the biggest, and I guess just time. I don't get enough sleep with, all the things that I'm doing all the time.
No, time's a big thing. A lot of
Yeah.
people can relate to that.
Yeah.
The one that you started with the fact that you have the knowledge, you know what needs to be done, and you just didn't simply volunteer it to your client because they merely asked,
Yeah.
but rather said, it's a great thing we should discuss. Let's find some time to schedule where we can actually dive into those a little bit deeper. And by the way, my fee for that is this. I
Uh-huh.
think that's a huge step, like you acknowledge, that so many people struggle with, because for us, we've put that time, that energy, that education into learning these things. And it may appear to us common knowledge,
Yeah.
very secondhand. But in reality, there's a lot of education and learning that's gone into acquiring that information to have that expertise. And we need to respect ourselves and say, well, I've actually put time and money into acquiring that expertise.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be now paid for that. And so that person's asking because clearly they don't, and they
Right.
appreciate it. So let's go ahead and say, rather than here's the answer, it's a great thing. Let's go ahead and sit down and discuss the situation, the uniqueness of what you're talking about. And then I'm sure I can give you some great advice,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have a fee for this time. It's it's a half-hour meeting, therefore it's going to be this fee.
Exactly.
Schedule it when you're ready. Yeah, no, I thought that was excellent advice.
And I run into that with the bookkeeping too. It's I feel like especially with the bookkeeping, because we've set up this engagement and then we discover, oh, they need this as well. Oh, we'll just go ahead and start doing that. And then if we don't catch this, I've added another bank account. Okay, no problem. That should raise your fee a little bit because that's
Yeah.
more stuff that you need to do. And we just kind of accept it.
Yeah. Well, your point is very valid. There's that scope creep that happens in the engagement
Yeah,
over the course of 6 months, 12 months,
exactly.
24 months. You're going to find that your relationship with your client has evolved, and yet your fees may not correspond to
Mhm.
what's happened within their company. They may be growing, the transactions may be growing, they may have more bank accounts and
Right.
so forth. But are you adjusting accordingly to what their company is evolving to? So I think
Mhm.
that's an excellent point. So let's talk about now with regards to the growth of your business.
Mhm.
You said a moment ago that you haven't marketed for some time, and now you're getting into this stage where you've got your processes in place and you feel that you're ready to now grow again.
Uh-huh.
I'm just kind of curious, where did you find your initial clients to begin with that you were able to say, I'm turning off the marketing and I'm not going to any longer?
Yeah. My first client, and they're still with us. And they're actually in our niche. It's how I chose this niche. She and I have been Facebook friends, online friends for probably 20 years. And I saw that she was looking for an in-house bookkeeper. And I reached out and I said, hey, have you ever thought about outsourcing? And so that's how we started working with them. Um, Networking is how like almost all of my bookkeeping clients have come along.
Love it.
Um, for a time, I subcontracted under an EA. She wanted a bookkeeping department in her firm, and I was her bookkeeping department. And I met her through a Facebook group. And so I worked with, I think, 5 or 6 clients, maybe 7, 8 with her. That was a long time ago, so I don't even remember. Um, just a wide variety of clients there. Um, for I was in BNI for a while, so I got some clients that way, but it's been
Excellent.
primarily networking or, oh, I met this person, referral partner. So like an outsourced CFO in my niche, he has referred some clients to me for either bookkeeping or taxes or both.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah, networking I think is underrated.
Yeah.
And I say that simply because so many people struggle to do it only because it is getting out and being
Yeah.
personable. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. And some people just prefer to say, I'll get around to that a little bit later. But in all honesty, it's one of the strongest things I found from a marketing perspective to literally use, like you mentioned, the BNI and
Mhm.
these referral connections where you're actually collaborating with other firms. Each of those can be a valuable asset as
Mhm.
to your marketing and growing your business. So great examples there. Tech stack. Do you have any particular things that you're using in your firm that you find to be essential for your business model today?
Yeah, for now, I am using Taxdome for
Mm,
lots of things. I use it for a lot of things. Our client portal, communication, signatures, organizers, um, automated workflows. That has really helped, especially the automations. When this happens, then automatically these things happen. That has been really, really important for us. And I'm trying to think of what else we use.
I presume you're using QuickBooks?
Yes. I'm not married to it, though.
So do you use Xero, Sage, FreshBooks?
We're wanting to do more in Xero.
Xero, okay.
So we're not I do have some tax clients in Xero. Right now, all of our bookkeeping clients are in QuickBooks. Usually that's because they have already come to us in QuickBooks. But if someone came to us and said, "Oh, we don't really have anything right now," we'd say, "Let's try Xero." So we're going to give that a shot. My team is like, "Oh, I guess I better relearn Xero. I learned it a long time ago, but we'll see."
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
If you're looking to advance your career in accounting, you need to enroll now in the Job Placement Assistance Program. This course is created for accounting professionals to find a new job, apply for a promotion, or get a better position within a company. It is a turnkey process to actually help you better interview, get the job you deserve, and get paid what you're worth. For more information on how you can take advantage of this offer, go to the episode description. Enroll now in the Job Placement Assistance Program. Do it for free and act now. I'm curious, you've got 9 kids. Obviously, you're homeschooling, as you mentioned earlier. What do you feel that they're taking from this business you're running as they observe you, watch you? What do you hope that they're gaining as a knowledge of watching mom go out there and have this thriving business as you do?
Yeah. It's really funny because I didn't start my business until my oldest had left home because he graduated from high school, went off to the military, and then I started my business. So he barely has a concept that I do any of this. My other kids, my previous business, I sold children's books. So when they heard that I was starting a bookkeeping business, they said, "Oh, are we going to have to carry all these books again?" I said, "No, it's not that kind of business. That's not what bookkeeping is.
Not those kinds of books."
Not those kind of books. Now, they have found it very handy that I can do their taxes for them. And I've got 2 that have started their own businesses. One is a hair stylist, and so she's got her own hair styling business. Rents a chair and does a great job. And so I've been able to advise her with that. And then my 15-year-old has had a thriving lawn and snow removal business for about 2 years now. And this past year, I said, "Dude, you made enough in self-employment that you have to file a Schedule C this year." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can I do a Roth IRA?" And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Yes, we are absolutely going to do that." So here he's 15. Isn't even, he could go work for Chick-fil-A or something, but he's like, "No, I just want to do this." And he's got his, people in our neighborhood. And so it's really exciting to see some of my kids with that entrepreneurial spirit. I still, since it's just me and a computer, I don't think they get it exactly.
Oh, they're watching.
What I do. All they know is that when when they open up my office door and I go like this and hold up a finger, "Don't talk to me." That's what that means, because that means I'm talking to someone. So that, and they know that I travel because I go to conferences or some sort of retreat or something with other business owners. So
I love that.
yeah.
With regards to conferences, what do you find valuable for attending?
Oh my goodness. One, networking. I'm an extrovert, which I know is not the typical accountant personality, but I love people. I love networking. I love talking to people. I also love learning. So I like going to, when it comes to accounting conferences, I like to go to them and learn maybe how to deal with the same pain points that I'm experiencing. Maybe the speaker is dealing with the same thing. I like to learn about tech. I like to learn about, like if there's an expo hall, I want to see what's going on there. I also
Yep.
like to go to conferences in my niche because there again, I can talk to people. I also am learning their language. So in particular industries, you learn like what things are called. Like I can say to someone, oh, hey, what OTAs do you work with? And that means something to my industry. It doesn't to pretty much everyone else.
Yeah.
Um, and so that gives me some credibility that I actually know what they're talking about when I say that. I also
Yep.
like to hear, like I've been able to sit in on sessions and and just observe what the other business owners in that industry are having struggles with. It may not even be struggles with accounting per se. It might be struggles with staffing or finding insurance or whatever. But when I'm aware of what they're going through, then that helps me to be able to relate a little bit. And even though I think accounting might be the most important thing to them, it might not actually be. Like if they can't find staff, that's kind of a bigger problem than, oh, hey, let's, figure out your P&L. Da, 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 da. They need boots on the ground to actually do the things.
Yep.
So I like going for that sort of stuff too.
I love how you described it, because when you do go to those specific industry trade conferences, all of a sudden what's happening is you're getting into the nuances of their
Mhm.
business model, and you're hearing the pains that they have that you may not otherwise be aware of.
Right.
And so them seeing you there and you're being sensitive to their holistic business model helps you actually get out of that paradigm of everything's about accounting.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's really good. All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of wrap this up. But
Okay.
before I do, I want to bring everyone's attention to the fact that she has created a Tax Pros BFF course that she's in beta right now. She's actually soliciting individuals to actually come in and sign up for information about it. And if you'd like more information about it, I want to have you go to the episode description, and you'll actually find there the information you need in order to get on her list as it relates to the Tax Pros BFF course that she's creating. It's basically in relations to her business and what it is she's found to be successful as it relates to tax preparation. Now, as it relates to the episode description, in there, you'll also find more information about also becoming a professional tax preparer and a pathway to becoming an enrolled agent, much like she has become, and how you can leverage not only your services in tax preparation, both business and individual, but at the same time, becoming an EA so that you can do more tax planning and preparation. That's one of the things that I'd encourage you to do, is go to the episode description, see more what it is you can do to learn about the Tax Pros BFF, as well as becoming a professional tax preparer and perhaps an EA in your career. So those are some of the things that would be very much a highlight. Now, as it relates to today's conversation, one of the things that I want to point out is her journey, I think, is very, very familiar to many of us. She went into her career late in life, having had her family and so forth, and then found basically this opportunity to work from home. And I think so many of us are drawn to the flexibility that the accounting profession affords us. With the technologies today, you can work remotely, you can work anywhere. And that's one of the things that I think is very helpful. And she likewise found that while homeschooling her family, she was able to actually take on this business and really has grown a very thriving business, both in bookkeeping and tax, working merely 30 to 40 hours a week. And I think that's something to be really celebrated. And that's something that I think is worth mentioning. The other thing that I thought was very important is she talked about how when her clients or someone asks something that is basically secondhand knowledge to her, information wise, she does need to respect the fact that she has put time and money into acquiring that knowledge, and she needed to respect that boundary of saying, that's a great question, let's schedule some time, and then saying that there will be a fee associated with that discussion. I think that's an excellent milestone or takeaway from this conversation, that we all need to be a little bit better understanding of what do we have that is an expertise that has worth or value, and charging appropriately for it. The other thing that I really thought was quite important is the conversation about about her children, seeing her growth and how she admitted that the first one had already left the household, and he's not as aware or privy to her business as it relates to the bookkeeping and taxes that she does. But the others who are at home and who have seen her do this, they're actually starting to notice it. And clearly, with the daughter going into being a hairstylist and the other young son actually taking on doing the lawn care and the snow removal, there's that entrepreneurial drive that's starting to actually take seed within the family. And I think that's exciting because, like her, my family has also shown that same type of thing where they start to realize the potential of running the business and some of the benefits that come from that. The other thing I wanted to also point out is that she saw value in conferences. I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting out there, basically mingling with our tax professionals, our bookkeeping professionals, our peers, and seeing what it is they're doing. Great friendships can be built there, collaborations can happen, but we can also hear from the experts as to what it is that they're doing. So I liked how she commented on that. So, Kirstin, what is a final thought that you would like to actually share with everyone?
Oh, final thought. I think that last bit that you said with forming friendships and among peers in our group, my life completely changed when I started my business because I was able to surround myself with people who get it. They just understand what I'm going through. I understand what they're going through. And some of my very, very best friends are in this industry. I went on a cruise for my 50th birthday a few months ago and took 23 people with me. And most of them were from this industry. So that was it. Now, and my poor sister, who is not an accountant, she was joking that, oh, how many times is somebody going to say bookkeeping while we're on this cruise? And honestly, I don't know that we talked about business at all. I had trouble remembering what I did when I came back. I'm like, what do I do for a living again? So we were able to get away from it. But there again, we are able to talk about other things too, besides just bookkeeping all the time. Just, I don't know, my friends that I have gotten to know, and we're able to share problems with each other, get advice from each other. That community is essential for me personally.
As an excellent thing to end on, the community and the personal side of this professional business that we have. So I like that. Those connections are very, very valuable. And I have to agree with you there. I have many friends within the profession, and I appreciate your highlighting that. That's very good. So here's what I'm going to do to wrap this up. One of the things that I want to point out is GrowCon. GrowCon is an annual conference for accounting professionals, individuals who own and operate bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. It is a conference that you do not want to miss. It's held each and every May, and it's at that event that we have on the stage the experts, those individuals that are helping us understand what it is we can be doing today to work on our businesses. At the same time, just like we've discussed, you can also meet with your peers, make those connections, friendships, find those collaboration opportunities where you're able to actually work with those individuals, rub shoulders with those who are doing exactly like you, growing their businesses as well. And then equally so, you can come and meet the staff here at Universal Accounting Center, those individuals who are committed to your success so that you can be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Now, with all that being said, I do also want to point out that Universal Accounting Center, the sponsor of this podcast, does have a variety of courses and programs designed to help you as you're building your business, whether they're programs for you specifically as the owner working on your company, or staff training that you're needing to offer quality bookkeeping, accounting, QuickBooks, tax, and a variety of other related services. If you'd like to learn more about that, definitely check out universalaccountingschool.com or give us a phone call at 801-265-3777. Now, if you haven't already subscribe to the podcast, I want to invite you to do so. You can subscribe, set your notifications so that each and every week when we release a new episode, you can hear what we have to say and hear from the experts what it is you need to be doing to build the premier accounting firm in your area. Likewise, I invite you to go to universalaccounting.com and find in the navigation the section dedicated to podcasts. There we've collected a number of highlight episodes, basically compiling playlists that you can go binge listen based on your current needs and interests. Perhaps it's marketing, selling, pricing, tech stacks, onboarding clients, mental health, just a variety of playlists that you can dive into that address the specific needs that you have today. So with that in mind, always remember this. If it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care, be safe out there, and have a great day.